Hey all, Daniel here. We have a great new way for you to reach out to us here at We Watch TV. If you take a look down in the show notes of the podcast, you'll notice a link that says text us a question or comment. The link will open the messaging app on your phone, and from there you can send a text message to us, your favorite variety TV podcast hosts. So if we say something you like or don't like about your favorite show, click that link and educate us on your opinion. We love hearing them, even if they're wrong, and we will make sure to shout you out on our next episode or answer your burning questions. So make sure and check that out down in the show notes. And now, enjoy the episode. Hey everybody, it's Friday.
Surprise episode!
And welcome to We Watch TV, the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel, she is Hope. This is episode 71, and yes, it is Friday. It is a special podcast episode.
We weren't going to have an episode this week at all, but then we realized with all the content coming, we didn't feel like recording like a 2 to 3 hour sesh.
Yeah.
So we're like, you know what? Even though we've been recovering from our vacation and getting back in the swing of things, and we weren't going to have a regular episode, we hope you enjoyed the Fallout Supercut. We thought, why not make your Friday a little more fantastic with a special drop of We Watch TV, because we do have a couple shows to cover.
June is here.
Some fan mail.
Yeah, it has begun. Like, as soon as this episode is over, basically you're going to be hauling up to watch Bridgerton.
Yes.
And then we'll have The Boys over the weekend. I think it's the first 3 episodes of The Boys.
Yes, the
and
Bridgerton Part 2 dropped, I believe, like at some point in the middle of the night last night. But you know how people are crazy. People already had it all watched this morning. I cannot be on any form of social media right now. I accidentally, which I'm a book reader, so I ultimately know the end goal. I just don't know how the show is executing that. But I saw a picture that I did not want to see, and I was like, my eyes. So we're just going to have a lot to go in on, and I think it's, one.
Sorry about the rustling and the dog tours. Apparently, my exuberance over it being Friday, he got him all in a mood. He is excited for it to be Friday as well.
Our third co-host, Mr. Marvin
Mr.
Picard.
Marvin, yeah.
But yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming, so that's why, like we said, we decided to go ahead and surprise you guys with this podcast.
Yes, and to say again, we will be releasing a regular episode on Tuesday. That episode will mostly be Bridgerton and the Boys. But so we're going to talk a Star Wars and some suits. But before we get into any of that, we do have some fan mail to talk about. And so if you heard the pre-roll at the beginning of this episode, you know what I'm talking about. You know how to contact us. I'm not going to go into it anymore because it's all there. I pre-recorded it on purpose.
Okay. Well then.
Yeah. So we got a couple messages from some people. We're holding a few back for next week because we want to address them in the rankums in a specific way. But we do have a couple random comments here that we wanted to get to. So you got the first one, I think?
I believe that was you.
Oh, okay. All right, okay. This one is from our friend in Ohio. And she is specifically saying that
my friend, your sister.
My sister in Ohio. That she totally agrees with me on my Stranger Things. And it can get tough to get through, but she does really love Steve and Robin.
Steve and Robin are probably the best characters at this point on Stranger Things. I, for one, love Stranger Things, and I like that each episode felt like a movie because I just want more. So I do not share your opinion on that, but Steve is the best character, and I would say Robin's probably the second best. I really like Nancy, though. I feel like Nancy's really grown, and I see a lot of myself in Nancy. I feel like Nancy is one of those characters, you either like her or you do not. Once again, I like one of the characters
now,
like that.
Who's the creepy guy that she dates?
Jonathan.
No, I don't like Jonathan.
I have never really been a Nancy Jonathan shipper because he took pictures of her when she was like undressing, but we were supposed to root for him because he was like the nice guy. And I'm not necessarily saying that I rooted for her and Steve at that point either because Steve hadn't had his character growth. But if they circled back to Nancy and Steve, I think it would be earned and it would make sense.
I agree.
But at the same time, I feel like I don't really see Nancy and Jonathan making it. why does Nancy have to be with either of them? She's really kind of striking out on her own, a career woman. Plus, these are just your high school people.
Plus,
you typically don't stay with your high school sweetheart anyway.
And you know how this show likes to tear our hearts out at the last minute?
Oh, if they kill Steve off.
I don't think that's a 0% chance. I don't think it's a 0% chance that they use him as the final sacrifice.
Unforgivable.
I don't disagree with you there, but okay.
All right. Our next comment comes from Parkersburg, West Virginia, my hometown. And I do not know who this is, by the way. Thank you for talking about Fallout. We finished it. Definitely my current fave show. So good. We loved it. Well, you're welcome. We're glad that you like the show. And I think even though Fallout kind of started off a little slow for me, I ended up really enjoying it. And I know you really liked it. So we hope to be able to hopefully it won't be too long before we can talk to you guys about season 2.
I'm looking forward
Fingers
to
crossed.
season 2. But yeah, I don't know when it'll be. I'm really getting tired of these seasons. They're like 2 years in between.
Yes.
It's really, really dragging on me. Some shows can pull it off, but some can't. And you were even noting to me yesterday how your enthusiasm over The Boys is low right now. Some of that I think is because you are looking forward to Bridgerton a little bit more than anything else at the moment. But other than that, it's like it's been so long.
We've waited so long for it that now I'm like, what's a few more days? I know once we put that first episode on and we see Homelander do something psychotic, I'm going to be all glued back in. At least I hope so. But just the glacial pace of these shows, that is the downfall of these streaming shows, because they're filmed more like, I think, movies.
Yeah.
And it just, these kids today, again, these teens, I want to specifically talk about the teen shows. How many, when we did the OC rewatch, we had 24 episodes or something, right?
Yeah, one of the seasons had 24.
The Summer I Turned Pretty, I would say that is the biggest teen show. Not only because of the strike, things got delayed. We're not getting a season this summer. They're making us wait till summer 2025. But you only get 8 episodes in that tiny little time frame. And it's we had it great. I remember thinking the summer was torturous to wait for this stuff. And now it's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, it's tough. So, but we liked Fallout. We're looking forward to more Fallout. We're glad you enjoyed us talking about Fallout. And
we had to evict one of our co-hosts just now.
I can only take so much squeaky toy before it's just too much of a distraction.
But Marvin, he also agrees that he likes Fallout. And we do really like when we can talk about a new show for you guys. And yeah, anything else you want to say about Fallout?
No, I'm interested to see where they go with season 2. I think I have an idea, just with what they've set up, but I'm always happy to be surprised too.
All right. So our next round of fan mail, we will address in our normal Tuesday episode. But we did, while we were on vacation, we managed to still watch some TV. Because we are the type of people now when we go to Disney World that we don't do a lot. I think we went to the parks in the evenings twice.
Twice, yeah.
We are get up, go in the morning, come back in the afternoon, go by the pool, and be showered and ready for bed by 4 p.m.
Correct. It's the best way to go about it.
It's super relaxing. And we have a little balcony where we stay. We stayed at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. So we can sit out there, we can people watch. It's very different than how we used to do Disney. I feel like we used to be late people, in our early 20s.
Correct.
And we weren't getting up as early. And then at one point...
And then there was a place in time...
where we did get up early.
Where we were getting up early, staying out late. And then I turned 36, I think. I don't know exactly how old I got.
Oh, no.
Was it earlier than that? Okay.
It was 32.
And it was I'm just being drugged because by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I am just dusted. I'm spent. And you're just speed walking to the next event that you want to take part in.
And then I think it took me, as usual, I'm always about a year or two behind you and stuff. And then I was okay, I love, because we both agree the morning is the best time to do the parks.
I agree, yes.
I know some people are going to vehemently disagree and say the evening. No, the evening, it's still kind of crowded and warm. The morning is so much calmer. Even though a lot of people do rope drop, once you get to where you're going, it's still there's room to walk. It's usually cooler. just the vibes are better. I think we just are more morning people. So I was like, I'll keep doing the morning, and I think it's because I felt like I had to, like, to get that bang for my buck. I don't know. And then one day I was like, you know what? Like, what does Forrest Gump say? Like, I'm tired now. I don't want to do this
It was
anymore.
the best day of my life when you said that.
So, because you love going.
I do.
You like to relax.
Yes.
And I think we have finally figured out, like, the right formula of how to properly relax at Disney. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could be there from start to finish with no hotel breaks at all. Like, it was...
Like that one day, that one trip where we were there from...
with my family
to the end of the party,
the Christmas party,
and I had like 24 miles on my step app or something like that. That was insane.
Well, we got there early, so we did that group picture, and then I don't know why we stayed there all day, and then we did that party, and they all went home like
they went back to the resort early.
Like, they all went after the parade, and Daniel and I stayed there like riding rides to like midnight or something.
It was like 1 p.m. when we left. Like we didn't leave until we saw whatever the little show is they do at the end of the night with like the clock or something, and we're walking out with the rest of the people after the park had closed at 1 p.m. in the morning or 1 a.m. in the morning. It was brutal.
Like this trip, like it was you even that was like dragging me out. Like I would be like done and be like, I don't want to do anything. Like you made me go to Epcot that one evening, which I ended up having fun, but
I wanted to get my steak.
Oh, you made me go another which we didn't stay as late, but when we went to eat at the Mexican place, which is so good, but nothing like profusely sweating in the Florida sun, shoveling Mexican
hot
food.
Mexican food in the sun.
There's no shade, but it is. Now I see why people that go to the Mexico quick service in Epcot, I often see them with trays just sitting on the ground. I never understood that before. I get it now. I get it. We're one of you. And then our other evening that we did, that was a day where we just kind of did the pool day all day. But I'm still like, I'm like that elderly life. Like get up early, go in. And there was like one morning, by the way, you guys, I think it was our very first morning where we were going to ride Peter Pan, but the mine train was down. So like everybody was going over to Peter Pan. We both had to go to the bathroom. We had coffees. We literally like hauled up at a table and just like sat there and watched people before we decided
drank our coffees like a 70-year-old couple.
We really were. We were just like, look at these people. Look at these people. So we were like, and that place is usually like busy. Those little tables by that, like across from the Rapunzel bathrooms. Best bathrooms at Magic Kingdom.
Of course, yes. Yes, of course.
And that if you want to go sit at the table and enjoy your coffee and just relax and watch, people being stressed at Disney, that's the way to do it. Like, cheers. And I think we finally ended up going to, like, a Small World or something. But we were like, well, we don't really want to stand in the Peter Pan line. We're like, we'll ride it later. Because when we're there for a week, we don't feel like that immense pressure to get in every ride. So we're like, well, what do you want to do? And we were both like, let's just, like, sit down. That was like a rope drop, a table. We sat down. So it was a good trip, though. Of course, once again, though, I don't know what is going on, but I came down with something at the end, so that's why my voice is kind of funky still.
I think your worst day was our drive home.
Yes, driving home, a 14-hour drive, driving through the mountains. When you have congestion and a sore throat, I would not recommend it. My pro tip, and I do this feel like anytime I travel, I'm like a walking pharmacy. I was able to enjoy our last day because I brought some Advil cold and sinus. Always pack stuff, especially at Disney. They have like first aid stuff, but you never know. So I feel like people always laugh when I'm like bringing all this medicine with me, and I'm like, you never know.
That's true.
And that's why I was like, we even rested and we took our time, but who knows? As usual, your immune system of steel is held strong.
I'm holding up so far. I feel like if I was going to get sick from you, I would have already done it.
I think you already would have, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
just put another notch in the peg there for me.
Again, one of the awesome things that we did on this relaxing vacation, I believe this was the evening that we were pretty much settled in at like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And we decided that we were going to watch. We figured it out. Shout out to Kaylin, because I saw her do this on her phone. How to watch Disney Plus in our room without bringing a Fire Stick on vacation. And you like use your phone, right?
Yeah, you just cast it to your phone.
So we watched the first 2 episodes of Star Wars: The Acolyte, and we have now since watched episode 3. I will definitely say that it is a full vibe to watch a Star Wars show in your Disney hotel room while you're eating a Mickey ice cream sandwich. Like, are the vibes any better than that?
Lights off, Mickey ice cream, air conditioner in the room as low as it'll go.
Yes.
Curtains
Full
pulled.
blast.
Yeah, it was definitely a vibe to watch
Star
that.
Wars on TV. So, watching it, the third episode, I didn't quite have as good of a vibe without my Mickey ice cream. But I would highly recommend that. Highly recommend that.
Do you highly recommend this Star Wars show so far?
Only 3 episodes in. I'm not going to say I highly recommend it. I think if you like Star Wars, and you have Disney Plus, you might as well give it a go. Right now, we'll start off with spoiler free, then we'll get into spoilers.
Okay,
How's
yeah,
that sound?
there you go. We're going to do spoiler free first.
Right now, I would say my opinion is, did it need to be made? No. Is it mildly entertaining? Sure. Do I really like it? Jury's still out. I'm decently entertained by it. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think it needed to be made? Like, I don't think it needed to be made.
No, I don't think so. But I will say, and this is not a spoiler because this is part of the show, is that it's about 100 years before The Phantom Menace. And I was interested in kind of getting to see what that looks like.
This is the first time that we've had something before the prequels, correct?
Yes.
In any of the post shows.
On TV, there has been a book series that has been called The High Republic.
Count the books.
But yeah,
are the books canon?
Yes.
Okay,
but
never mind
from a TV show, movie standpoint, this is the first on-screen appearance of anything prior to The Phantom Menace.
We are pro canon books like that. What is it called? That I read the Han and Leia book last summer.
Yeah.
Or it was 2 summers ago.
Back there, but yeah.
The Princess and the Scoundrel.
Yeah. So I'm interested in kind of seeing that world, and I mean,
the fashion is still the same as it is in the prequels. They have their little Padawan braids.
Yeah.
They have like the little mullety hair in each stage. So obviously the hairstylings went away when, there's certain things happened and the Jedi and stuff were like killed off. And then, because Luke just had whatever hair. Do you think they brought back like the braids, the Padawan braid?
I
and
hope
like
not.
the mullet look? Well, clearly that was a thing for like 100-some years.
So on paper, I'm interested in seeing that timeline, and of course, you can't ignore the idea that the 100 years leading up to the Phantom Menace, eventually at some point, I don't think in this show it's going to happen, but Palpatine is eventually coming up. Whoever Palpatine's master was is coming up. That stuff is going to be.
I want to see Darth Plagueis. Yeah, do you think we will? Do you think they'll go there? I don't know if they will. I think the fans want them to, but I'm just not sure they're going to do that. I think we might get a little name drop, but I don't think okay, so in the first episode, not a strong spoiler, but you are going to see some what we believe to be Sith action. You saw that in the trailer.
Yeah, we believe this to be at this time a Sith, probably apprentice. I don't think it's the master.
And you saw that in the trailer,
so
that's not a big spoiler. I don't think that's Darth Plagueis.
No, I don't either. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do that or not. I think there's an expectation with where they have placed this on the timeline, and back to your original comment. Did this need to be made? No. Okay. Well, why are you making it?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this in this specific time period?
The why might be money, but
right. But
from a storytelling,
from an artistic standpoint, why did they pick? Disney said, make us a show.
Now, is this a Dave Filoni show or something else?
No, this is not a Filoni show.
It shows.
Disney said, make me a Star Wars show, okay? The creators and the artists are the one that picked out when it is. Why did you pick this time period if you're not going to try and tell us a story about the beginnings of
I'm glad they're doing this time period, though, because I feel like we haven't really done much after the sequels. And we've been kind of in that hold pattern of all the shows existing in that one area after the OGs, between the sequels. So this is kind of a bold choice.
It gets you away from the Skywalkers. And I think I think we have to do that with Star Wars, because
we do love Anakin Skywalker.
Whether you consider the Skywalker saga to be 6 movies or 9 movies, I'm not going to have that debate today.
9?
Yeah. Whether you consider the sequel trilogy, part of the stuff, whatever. The fact is, that saga is done. That story is told, and Star Wars is going to continue.
I would still watch a show with Anakin. I would watch. Would you not watch a live-action Clone Wars?
Yeah, I guess I would.
And it would make
it's
so
not
much
gonna
money.
happen.
So many people would be.
It's not going to happen.
We love Anakin.
So I'm excited to see stories in Star Wars that are
It's nice to do a different time period than what we've seen.
Yes, that don't have the Empire. Like, I'm tired of the Empire, honestly. Like, every show's like, here's some stormtroopers running around. You know, I want to see some new stuff, and I think this is
it's
an
nice
interesting...
to see what it was like before when we first saw it in the prequels, because things were starting to get kind of hairy then.
Yeah.
It's just nice to see. I still see so much, like, no stability in terms of, like, the structure. It's honestly giving Game of Thrones with, like, everybody still, even back then, like, wants to lead. Maybe that's just the way a lot of societies are. Now, cast-wise in this show, the lead actress, she played Rue in the Hunger Games. Can we just talk about the Hunger Games right now real quick? The resurgence. What a time to be alive. I feel like I'm, like, back in my Hunger Games era. We just had the announcement that Haymitch is getting a book made. The fans have been asking for that since, like, 2012.
That's Woody Harrelson's character from the
Yes.
movies? Okay.
Yes, very excited. But I was like, who is this girl? I've seen her. Then I was like, oh my gosh, it's Rue. And she was like a little girl
Yeah.
in the Hunger Games. And then one of the other Padawans, she was in Logan.
Yes.
That
She's in a lot
movie.
of alien makeup, so it's a little tougher to pick her out. But
Then
I can see
we've
it
got
in the eyes.
Tommen
From Game of Thrones.
And then also, we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get in the spoiler portion. Carrie Ann Moss.
Mm-hmm.
I know her from Jessica Jones. A lot of you guys know her from those horrible movies called The Matrix. I said what I said. Mid.
I'm not defending all the Matrix movies, but the first Matrix
gosh.
movie is one
Here
of the
we
best
go.
movies ever made.
You know, I've never seen her without short hair until this Star Wars show. Like, she doesn't have her little short haircut. Maybe it's because, does she have, like, a hood on? I don't remember. Or, like, back. But I always see she has short hair in The Matrix, short hair on Jessica Jones. I don't think I've ever seen her
I'd
with
say
long
it's
hair.
still pretty short in what we've seen her in on this show so far.
Anything else you want to say about the cast? Oh, and the one guy that's playing, what's
Plays
his...
Saul.
He
was
learned
in
English for this show,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. He learned English just for this show. And he said he wanted to be his favorite Jedi is Qui-Gon Jinn. So I immediately like that.
He's doing the Qui-Gon hair
Yes.
in, like, the first couple episodes. Oh, and one other thing that I want to say is the name of this show, The Acolyte. I know that there are people listening that I used to attend church with back in the day. Daniel doesn't know what acolytes are. Is this just a Methodist denomination thing? But, like, when I was a kid, I was an acolyte. So every time I hear the name of the show, I'm like, an acolyte. And they're the people, we had these little, like, candle holdery things. And when
Very
church would
technical
start,
name.
we walk down the aisle, we light the candle. Then, like, after church, there was, like, an end of, like, the little, like, stick thing they had. And we'd extinguish the candle, and then you'd turn around, and we had to wear these robes. Have you never... And you see, when you used to come to church with me, with, like, my parents, you remember seeing the acolytes, right? Or did you just not know what these children were doing?
I didn't know they had a formal name. I know a couple times when I was in church, they didn't have we had deacons, and they ran out like somebody wasn't there, and they were like, "Hey, we need you to go like pass the money plate around." So I got
thought
roped
those
into
were
doing
ushers.
that. They called them deacons, I think.
I thought a deacon was something different. I don't know. Let us know if you had acolytes in your church. Like, I was like, oh, the acolyte. Like, I was an acolyte, and Daniel's like, what? Anyway, I had to get that off my chest.
All right. Well, I think that's about all we can say about the show in this non-spoiler section. So, do you want to jump to spoilers?
Yes. So this is your final warning. If you have not seen The Acolyte yet, I'm going to go ahead and say, even though I didn't think it needed to be made, and I'm not willing to say it's great yet, if you like Star Wars, you want something to watch, go ahead and give it a go. You will, again, this goes back to our weekly release rant. It is weekly release. It's basically taking you back to the old times, just like Ahsoka did. 9 p.m. on Tuesdays. So if you're like us,
That's the worst part for me. I can live with a
8
a weekly release, but 9 p.m.
Yeah, give us an
Eastern
8.
time. Come on, I am like half in bed at that point in the night.
I can't focus on a new show at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So, yes. So go ahead, put it on your list. Now, we will probably be doing a super cut for this at some point.
Sure.
So if you wait that long to watch, just make sure you stick around for that. So, final warning. Count us down. 3, 2, 1. Daniel.
3, 2, 1. Spoiler time. Hey, I just have to get this off my chest at the beginning. I told you this before we watched the show. I want you to vet for me now. I told you this.
You did.
I said, Carrie-Anne Moss, they're gonna kill her in the first episode.
You didn't say that to me.
What did I say to you?
Okay, you said to me, we were in line for a ride because we were at Disney, and you're like, something big happened, and you're like, and I totally caught it. And you're like, do you want me to tell you? I said no. And I said, what are they going to do? Kill off that one chick? Because I couldn't remember her name. And like the first 2 seconds, I told you. And you're like, how did you know that? And I'm like, because I did.
But we did have a connection because it was a little bit more in depth than that. And you didn't say it exactly like that, because what you actually said was, what are they going to Julianne Morris from
Children of Men?
Children of Men movie? And I said that is exactly what I think what I think is going to happen.
She's been in all the ads.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do think that we are going to see more, because the episode 3 was purely a flashback.
Yes, and she was in there.
And she was in that one, so I think we'll see more of her. But I don't remember what Children of Men was about. I just remember that Julianne Moore did all the marketing, and they killed her off in 30 minutes.
Yes, and it made this sense of tension in the rest of the movie. I don't feel that same.
If you're a big Carrie-Anne Moss fan,
yeah,
you might just be getting her in some flashbacks, but I do think you're going to see her some more.
Now, I don't feel the same tension in this show from that as I did there, but I certainly respect the decision
and from
to bring
what
somebody
you
in
told
like
me,
that.
some of the nerds were mad.
Oh
right?
yeah, listen, this is a Star Wars show. If nerds are going to be mad, and we'll get to that when we get to the third episode of what's really going on. But let's just get it out there. Like, the nerds are mad about this show.
Nerds are always going to be mad. I mean, we're Star Wars nerds. We get mad at the sequels, the poorly done sequels.
Yeah, I get mad at Star Wars sometimes, although I'm getting better.
My opinions are correct.
I'm getting better. I'm on the other side. I said it the other night, and you got really mad at me about it. I'm on the other side of it.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
I'm on the other side of being mad about Star Wars.
I was on my decongestant. He's like ranting about being. I'm like on the other side of what? Like I was half listening to him at this point. And it was like of Star Wars, and I'm like, what do you mean? And I was like, I will fight for Anakin until the bitter end.
All right. So they kill Carrie-Anne Moss's character off in the first 10 minutes. I mean, it's the very first scene of the show.
And so we see this girl. We don't know her name. She kills Carrie-Anne Moss. She doesn't, she's using like a little knife.
She doesn't use a lightsaber or anything like that.
Then we allegedly see her on like a ship the next day with her cute little robot toy. And basically a whole different personality. Spoiler alert. Why does she have a whole different personality?
Twins.
Sister. The old twins. And I thought, because at one point she was being so different, and I was like, either she's a really good liar, or she's like, borderline personality disorder or something.
Right. So anyways, the Jedi show up to retrieve her because there was a witness that put her at the scene. Obviously, we find out it's not her. And there's a backstory that her sister, they thought she died. She obviously isn't.
And I thought there was going to be more to it in the one Jedi, because they knew each other, and the Disney Plus wanted us to see him without his shirt on 3 times. I'm like, okay, you will never be Anakin having nightmares abs scene for me. Don't even try it. But all right, it's not horrible to look at. Then I'm like, do you think they're gonna hook up or something?
I don't know, because we haven't in the third. We saw the first 2 episodes. The third episode was a complete flashback.
Yeah.
No current
but
time.
But did we see
at
him
all.
in the second episode? I don't remember.
Yeah, he was in the second episode.
Okay.
Because that's when they were at the planet where they.
But he wasn't being very nice to her then, because he wasn't acting like he didn't believe her that it wasn't her.
I took it as there's a little bit of...
And her name is Osha, and her twin that is killing
twin.
Everybody is Maya. But is she evil?
Well, I mean, she's working with the Sith Lord.
From a certain point of view. I don't know. Well, I think... Because the flashback episodes, Osha's a little bit more of a little spark plug than Maya.
Yeah, I think I have issues with that episode.
I kind of have a theory about these twins, which I'll get into it in a minute.
I have an issue with the third episode. It's not the issue that anybody else has with the third episode. But I think either they intentionally left a point of view out of that episode at the end when the fire starts and suddenly everybody's just dead. Okay, now these witches can do all this crazy
jumping
magic.
Around like crazy right now.
But they can't get out of a fire. I think we're missing something.
Let's circle back to that and get through. You
all
are
right.
Wildly off pace. So we also see, basically Maya, the bad twin, We find out she's working with probably what we assume is some type of Sith connection. But she has like an Arya Stark hit list.
Yes.
So Carrie-Anne Moss's character was on there. Soul is on there. And that's who kind of like Osha's working with now. He like has set Osha free basically, and now they're trying to track down
Osha
Maya.
was a Jedi.
Yes.
And he was her master.
But she
left the Jedi Order.
Which you will find that out.
Yeah.
And it'll make a lot more sense than our chaotic energy that we're talking about it on. And then she has this other, like, Jedi that she wants to kill off. So Osha, Saul, they all head to this, and that other guy, I guess shirtless Jedi man, they all go to this planet.
Gord, I think is his name.
And they're trying to figure, you know, they still don't totally believe her, that it's not her. But they're trying to track down Maya. That's where Maya is. And the next guy on our hit list is somebody that's like, apparently this Jedi dude has been like meditating for like 5 years.
10 years.
10 years. And that apparently makes you horribly bald, like with a terrible receding hairline.
It was
and a
not
huge
great
brain.
makeup.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't great makeup.
So this is now the second time in television that I have seen this actor off himself on TV.
Yeah.
We saw him jump out of a castle on Game of Thrones at King's Landing. This is the actor who plays Tommen Baratheon. And then she's basically like, Maya goes, you know, take this like juice or whatever and like make up for what you did. Poison.
You say juice. It's poison.
Okay, whatever.
This is her opinion on juice, by the way.
And so he like is like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'll do anything to like, basically he's saying like he'll take it to make up for what he did.
He basically says, you were right. I did bad things and here we go.
So then he's gone now. So obviously Saul's her next target. But then I don't think Maya knew that Osha was still around.
No.
So they see each other and she's like, Osha? And Osha's like, I want her dead. She killed my whole family, blah, blah, blah. So then we get to episode 3, full-blown flashback.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel, okay, so this is the same actress playing the old versions of Osha and Maya. It was 2 different actresses playing the children, the children version of them. Daniel still couldn't tell these people apart and was like, "That I think that was confusing you." And I'm like, oh my gosh, it is not the same actress. And they probably did that on purpose. And then I'm like, weren't you able to tell Mary-Kate and Ashley apart growing up?
Absolutely not.
Oh my gosh, I can watch Full House when they are infants, and I can know which one is Mary-Kate
twins that
and
are
which
like
one is Ashley.
identical.
They're fraternal.
If they're young enough, I can't tell the difference.
Could you tell our friends apart that we're fraternal twins?
No.
Shout out Aaron and Rachel if either of you ever listen to this. Once I got to know them, I don't even understand how people could get them confused. So you were just, I guess you're just a man. I don't know. So you would be like, well, which one? And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, and I think you were getting confused because you would assume that Maya would be the little like troublemaker.
Well, they dressed
kid.
them the same.
Yeah, on purpose, but they're still not the same. So Osha
I know.
is more of like the troublemaker one that's kind of getting not following the rules because she wants life outside of this like witch coven that they're in. Whereas Maya's like, why would I want anything else? I love it here.
Sister was a witch.
Her sister was a witch. If you know, you know. But anyway, so these witches, kind of like the Ahsoka witches, they can use the Force.
Yes.
So it's not just the Jedi using the Force.
I think that's very interesting. I really like the idea. We've known that there are other Force users besides the Jedi and the Sith.
Yeah.
And I really like exploring that idea.
Me too. I think that's cool. And there's like no men. Like, I mean, there's no men around. So, you know, female power. And we find out that the girls, they're doing this ascension ceremony. Osha really doesn't want to do it. And I guess the Jedi like to kidnap children. And that's how you become a Padawan.
Yeah.
They just come take kids.
Yeah.
So they're there like spying on the girls because they know they have Force sensitivities. And obviously the witches, like the mother witch, kind of like the head in charge, is like, you know, she seems more reasonable than like, is this a Darth Maul like species of the other woman?
I think so.
Mother Cora, is that her name?
Yeah, I think it is. I would have to check on the internet to check and make sure, but I
I'm
think
sure the
it
internet is.
I saw some discussion, but I won't even get into it.
And she's more like, get these Jedi the heck out of here. But like Osha's totally like into being a Jedi, and Maya's like, why would you want to do that? So they have this ascension ceremony. We don't know what that is for. Maybe to get their full witchy blown powers. I don't know. Maya completes it. Surprise, surprise, the Jedi show up. And Osha's like, I want to be tested, to be a Jedi. And Maya's like, well, you're going to have to lie or they'll take us. And does Osha lie?
No, she does
She
not.
tries to lie.
She tries, but she
And
fails.
they figure out she's lying.
Yeah.
So then Osha's like, I want to leave. And like the main mother lady just seems like she's kind of like, even though she's annoyed, she's like, it's their choice. She seems almost at peace with it, we think, allegedly. She seems very nice about it.
She does. I think
Maya seems pretty ticked. She feels betrayed. Her sister has betrayed her. And then that is where this whole fire thing happens. Maya supposedly gets so mad. I think she was trying to scare Osha and like got really upset. And the fire got out of control.
Right.
But maybe once again, I'm apologizing for these villains. I don't know. Because
Well,
she's just a little girl.
yeah.
I think she felt betrayed, that her sister betrayed her.
For
and
sure.
I think she felt, because Maya was like, why would I have you? I have my family. Why would I want to leave here? Why would I want anything else? And I think she felt that because Osha wanted something else, that Osha somehow loved her less. Even if that's not the case, they were children. That is the way a lot of children would think.
Sure, absolutely.
So is this the beginning of Maya's villain story? Did she set the fire?
She
What
did
really
set the
happened?
fire. We saw her set
I
the
mean,
fire.
but did she kill everybody with the
Well,
fire?
that's what is missing
your
for me.
conundrum.
Yeah, that is what's missing for me, because obviously she set the fire and lights the place up. Okay.
Yeah.
But then when Saul is saving Osha and he's bringing her out and we see that mass of bodies laying on the ground,
Yeah.
that doesn't look like a group of people that got burned to death.
Well, my question is, I'm just going to call him Tommen Baratheon because I don't know what his name is on the show. He, from my understanding, that was the only time he interacted with Maya.
Right, exactly. Like
So
what?
something else went down
Yeah.
in that thing because he's apologetic. He takes the stuff. Something else is going on.
If something else doesn't go down,
then
in
I
the
want to
show,
know, why would he just take the poison?
That's a hole for me that
Exactly.
is going to be difficult to overcome in the story.
And I do think that's a part of the mystery, and I think they're going to uncover that. But let's touch on the whole elephant in the room right now. I said there's no men on this planet. They created these twins, supposedly using the Force powers.
Yes.
Apparently, the internet has stupid opinions on it. I didn't see that
boy.
at all. Daniel had me all worked up before this episode because he had said, and I thought I was going to be mad. And then we watched it, and I'm like, no, they are not the chosen one. Anakin is still the chosen one. And what makes people think that they didn't try to create an Anakin-like chosen one, like the Sith and everybody, before? I mean, you always throw out the first pancake. You know what
That's
I
a
mean?
good analogy. Yeah, no, for me,
Like, I see no connection. But if they try to pull some crap about them being the chosen ones, then I'll be on board. And I'll be like, that's stupid. Anakin is the chosen one. The end.
the fact of the matter is,
Irrelevant.
the Jedi are never going to even find out about that because the mothers are the only ones that know about it. It's not even entirely clear Osha and Maya know.
And why
how
wouldn't you
that
dabble
happens.
in that? Like, if they're using this Force, this witchy powers, and they want to make these girls, like,
Yeah.
Go for it.
To me, it's like this does nothing to change the Chosen One prophecy of Anakin. And I'll be honest with you, I don't care about the Chosen One prophecy of Anakin. I don't think it's
do.
central to the story at all, except for it's a bad thing because it gives Anakin this pressure and it puts these expectations on him. And so I'm not worried about it in any way. I think it doesn't take away from Anakin in this show. She's over here screaming. She wants to light up on me.
okay, can I go?
Well, let me just finish by saying that
Okay.
I think the people that hate this and say this is the end of Star Wars, they'd made up their minds before they even saw the first episode of The Acolyte that this show was the end of Star
Yes,
Wars.
there are people that want to complain about that. Now I'm
All right, go.
free to go. I like the Chosen One prophecy, and I think if it goes by, to me, the whole Duel of the Fates.
Yes,
Like
I agree.
if Qui-Gon had lived, I think, I do think Anakin ultimately did help bring balance. This is why, again, these sequels are trash, and I like to ignore them, which I still consider them, but, like, it ended up being through Luke. Luke brought Anakin back, but there ultimately was some balance. Anakin, it was just really difficult with Anakin's just, his whole story is a tragedy.
Yes.
Like, he is, even with the Jedi, like, kind of a pawn for both sides. He was a slave as a child. He was just used and manipulated. So I do believe that the Chosen One prophecy is important. I think it didn't play out in those prequels. Obviously, we wouldn't have the OGs, how the Jedi at the time wanted it. But I do think eventually that Anakin, through Luke was able to bring him back, and I think that's what makes, Return of the Jedi such a powerful movie, is very special. But I mean, when you think about the politics and everything that happened after with the sequels, that's a whole other thing, but I do think it is important. That being said, I don't think Anakin was the first try. Again, I think you throw out the first pancake. I think that it couldn't, and I'm not even saying with the witch people what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Sith tried to do that like 1,000 times. So that's my piece. I got to defend my boy. Got to defend my mans.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to think about what if, there's theories out there. I don't think that Darth Plagueis or Palpatine actually created Anakin. I think the Force was reacting to whatever they were trying to do, right? But maybe where do they get the idea for that kind of stuff?
And I think
maybe it would be here. And if that's where the story string that we're pulling here, that's interesting to me.
And that could be relevant.
Yeah.
And make the show relevant. I think one of the reasons, too, why I like it, I do like the prequels more than you. You're not a prequel hater.
Sure.
But I like kind of that mythology behind it. Like, I don't hate the midi-chloridians thing or whatever. Like, I found that all that, like,
Did you notice the they referenced midichlorians in the episode without really referencing it because he took her blood?
I did.
We know that's what they were doing. They just didn't say that's what they're doing with it.
Because if they say that word, they're going to trigger the OG fans who will get so
They might
mad.
as with this episode, they might as well have said it because they triggered everybody anyways with the no father birth. They might as well have triggered it. So I got to ask you this question: did the Acolyte ruin Star Wars?
No.
Okay, I don't think so either. I think it's overblown.
Now, if they try to go back and actually say, like, oh, these two were the actual chosen ones, then I guess they were the chosen ones until they weren't, and then we had to make another one. But even, I don't think they're going to do that. I do sort of have a theory about the twins.
Okay.
I think that Maya might actually be the one to represent the dark, and Osha represents the light, and that when they were created, instead of the chosen one, like Anakin that has both, it was split. And I don't know if they're going to go that way, but I could see them touching on that somehow.
I think that's an interesting idea. I would be surprised if it doesn't come up in that way. I will note another thing that I want to point out is that there does seem to be at least so far in the show, a very big difference in the abilities of the two. Maya seems much more, and Osha trained with the Jedi, but Osha seems like she's, even when we've seen her in the future time, like in the present of the story, try to use the Force, she's not very good at it.
Yeah.
Whereas Maya seems to be very proficient. I mean, she's managed to kill 2 Jedi.
Well, I mean, I got the vibe on there in the flashback episode that Maya, and that's one of the reasons why Osha wanted out of there, Maya was the favorite. Maya was the one that was the best at everything. And that's why Osha was like, well, I want to see what's out there for me. And I kind of got the vibe that, like, Maya was, like, the quote-unquote, even though she's, like, the bad one now, was, like, the good one.
Well,
the one that was, like, best at everything.
And actually, that's a very interesting dynamic because they set up the first 2 episodes making you think you've got the bad one and the good one. And they kind of flipped it on you in the third episode. And I think, I really kind of think that the relationship of those two, done right by this show, could be a very interesting story to tell.
It could be. I thought it was definitely very interesting that the 3rd episode is purely a flashback. But as we got into it, I prefer to do that than jumping back and forth,
I agree. Yeah.
I'm glad that we were able to get a lot of that out. I still think that there's stories left to tell. I need the payoff with, like, the one guy's interactions with Maya. Like, because he clearly was so willing to take that poison, and supposedly that's the only time they interacted. Like, I need to know more.
More went down in that temple in that 3rd episode than what we've been shown so far. And if it didn't, that's a big error.
Can we talk about how culty the Jedi are?
Oh, very culty.
Like, they just up and, like, Saul said he was taken when he was 4. They just sense children with Force abilities, test them, and then take them. What?
Well, they ask, but it's not. It's kind of one of those,
they were a
like,
little forceful about it.
It's a pretty forceful ask, yes.
Even with the witches, who could have, like, battled them.
And I have seen some people being critical of the show for leaning into that kind of the Jedi are that way, but I think that you've got to realize that media is of the time that it is made.
I feel like the Jedi were always, like, in the I think Luke, and this is what I wish the sequels had done. I think Luke could have established like a new form of the Jedi, and I think he was trying to before he got all paranoid with the whole Kylo thing of it all. But like in what you see in the prequels is I see a very much of a messed up system with the Jedi. Like, let's call it what it is. I know, again, I'm defending my mans, but Mace Windu was awful to Anakin.
Yeah.
Mean, condescending, rude, and I felt like Anakin didn't always deserve that treatment.
I mean, let's call the Jedi Order what it is. A religious organization acting as police enforcement for a governmental body.
No attachments,
Correct.
Which is insane because obviously, I mean, their attachments are, I guess you could say what their downfall is. Like Obi-Wan was too attached to Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Anakin had his attachment to Obi-Wan to Padme. But I think like you should be allowed to, why not be both? To have attachments, because I think our attachments make us human and can kind of bring us power, so to speak.
Sounds like something a Sith would say.
Well, if you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Interesting. Alrighty, well that is Star Wars The Acolyte, episodes 1 through 3 out of the way. We have also resumed watching Suits. We finished up season 6 and we're started season 7. Mike is back as a lawyer, being just as awful as always.
Did he get out of... I don't remember our last discussion about Suits, so we've already talked about how he's fresh out of the slammer.
Yeah, we talked about that.
If that song existed back then, they would have played that.
but he hadn't become a lawyer yet. They finally, pulled all their evil strings.
He didn't go to school to become a lawyer. He just passed the bar.
The bar by bribery.
Which I guess you can. We looked it up in New York and New Jersey, right?
I don't remember where it was.
We did verify.
It's the Fallout healing syringe.
Yes.
You just got to pump that into your veins in this show.
Well, we did wrap up. She's popped up in some other episodes, but Jessica's storyline.
Yeah.
We wondered why, we had Jessica and Rachel that were helping that inmate for the, what is it? The Project Innocence. Project Innocence.
Yeah, Innocence Project.
He was on death row when he shouldn't have been. And that story, actually, the payoff ended up being it caused Jessica to kind of reassess.
Yes.
Like, she got to really practice being a lawyer again, helping people. And then Jeff, or as we call him, Amedadel, he showed up real quick in an episode. And we're like, he's here for a reason. And it caused Jessica to be like, you know what? I've had enough of this whole corporate stuff. This is what I want to do. I don't want to just be, some corporate lawyer. Because she had a whole flashback. And she went to Chicago to be with Jeff / Amedadel. And we think she's still practicing in Chicago. She referenced that. And she has popped up in a couple episodes since. But can I just say what a hole has been left by Jessica's
I'm
presence.
Surprised by it, but you're right.
We need mommy back.
Because here, like the couple times in season 7, she's popped back in and has made those episodes immediately better. And immediately just brought this. Yes, that character
was the glue.
It was the glue.
And it was one of those things where we didn't love her character, but we didn't hate her character. She was just there, and she was there for a reason. She was even if it wasn't always a voice of reason, she was the mother. The mother hen.
Yes.
Because even though they're trying to show it, Harvey and Lewis aren't ready for that. Donna isn't ready.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. Harvey and Lewis is exhausting. It's like we're in season 7 at this point, and it just wears the character growth. You can see it a little bit. Like Lewis is going to therapy. It is a little evolved. Lewis is going to therapy, and he is trying.
I feel like he's trying more than Harvey.
Yeah, I'm hoping with Alex that they've brought in, that I'm hoping that maybe that's the beginning of trying to actually make some real progress here. But I don't. But at the same time,
considering season 7 started off with Harvey hooking up with his therapist, so he had his therapist from season 5, right?
She didn't appear in season 6 at all.
Yeah, I don't think she did at all. And I remember thinking, I was like, I bet they're gonna hook up. Then I was like, I'm so glad they didn't hook up because it made it an actual. How a relationship with the therapist should be. Enter season 7. They hooked up.
Yeah. And he found some lawyery way about how, I haven't seen you in such amount of time, so I can be your...
It's like a stall pattern with Harvey and Donna, and I'm just not here for it. Season 6 finally they gave Donna an awful storyline.
It was the worst. It was the absolute worst.
the Donna, basically an Alexa ripoff. And I think that whole storyline was because Donna wants to be more than a legal secretary. She wants more of a voice, so she was latching on with that. So I think that's why they used that to be the catalyst.
It was bad, though.
Just wasn't the greatest.
No, it was not good
Mike
at all.
Ross is still awful. But he's dealing with a Mike Ross-like character, though, that he's working with. Because he did get hired at this clinic before he came back to Pierce Inspector Lit. So what do you think? But Oliver is more like how Mike would be if Mike wouldn't annoy me. But you can tell Mike's getting annoyed with, like, Oliver.
Yeah. I don't know. I at the same time, in both ways, I cannot wait to get rid of Mike on this show, and also can't imagine this show without Mike.
And also, like, Rachel, I think Rachel's a great character when she has her own, like, when they had her, like, in charge of the associates with Rachel at school, Rachel working with, when Rachel and Jessica finally got to work together. It's just sometimes I feel like they make Rachel such an accessory to Mike, where she, like, her storylines, even with just, like, her and her dad, like, that stands out to me. I have not seen Mike and Rachel's dad. Have we seen them interact since he got out of prison? I don't think so.
No, we have not. Not on screen.
There's certain people like Harvey's nemesis lawyer. I want to see that happen. So I haven't really felt like I've gotten the payoff on that as much.
Like,
yeah,
she's
Katrina's
been on the show.
reacted to it to other people, but not to Mike. And I get it. They all respect Mike and everything. I would have just liked to see that. I feel like they bring in Katrina, like, whenever they need to. They're like, okay, come in here. Lewis was in a relationship with Tara. Tara. I kept waiting for the shoe to drop with that, for her to be a big old weirdo. And then nothing really materialized. All I see her is she is the actress from a show that I used to watch in the late 90s, early 2000s called Popular. Do you know, Talladega Nights. Hey, driver, drive these. Yeah. The blonde. Mm-hmm. So she was the blonde sister, and this girl was the brunette sister, and they were both on the show called Popular. Huge. I mean, it wasn't huge, but it was on the what used to be called the WB. I watched it all the time, and anytime I see that actress, I think her name's like Carly Pope, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the girl from Popular. So I was very distracted by that the whole time, and I just kept waiting for something, because let's call it what it is. Let's just be straight up honest here. Lewis was pulling above his grade there with that broad. So I'm like, okay, what's wrong with this woman? And then, like, they break up because Lewis, then he was mean to her. Like, he basically tried to tell her something. He tried to tell her about Mike. Yeah. And then because he didn't like her reaction, he just gaslit her and was like, well, I forgave you for being engaged to another man, blah, blah, blah.
And I think she eventually said that it's not, the Mike thing is what's causing the problem. It was her reaction. It was his reaction to her reaction that caused the problem. And she's right to that. Yeah. And that's something I think,
the character did nothing for me, though. If we never see her again, I'm cool with it. If I feel like I thought Sheila was Lewis's perfect match.
I agree. I don't think it's going to happen.
Me either.
So.
I just want Harvey and Lewis to actually go mudding together. That's kind of where we are on Suits. Yeah. I look forward to each episode we watch. Each episode, Mike Ross annoys me. I think the hole that Jessica has left has been huge. I don't know what they're going to do when Mike and Rachel ultimately leave. I do think right now it's giving me, I'm going to compare it to a show that has nothing to do with this. Remember The Flash?
Yeah.
The Crisis? We've finally gotten over the hump. Everybody knew about Mike. Yeah. Mike's past the bar. Now I feel like we're just in this hold pattern, and they're coming up with just, like, dumb things to be the next thing. So I don't know where they go from here, but it's a good filler show.
We had this conversation a couple episodes ago about hate watching things, and I'm feeling like this is slowly becoming, the last couple seasons of this show are going to slowly tread into hate watch territory.
They've really had to pull the plug on Harvey Donna stuff. It got ramped up.
Oh, yeah.
Now we've had to pull back from it. I feel like they are rewinding some of Harvey's character growth a little bit this season.
Character growth? Nobody has character growth in this show.
I would say Lewis has grown a little bit.
A little bit. He's a little bit. But then
reverts back.
But every time he gets mad, he's abusing the associates or yelling at Harvey.
It's probably more realistic, honestly. Maybe that's why we
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, anyways, folks, thank you very much for tuning in on this special Friday episode and listening to us rant about Star Wars for 30 minutes.
And Suits.
And Suits for a little bit of time after that. Like we said multiple times in the episode, we will be back with our regular Tuesday episode next week. talking about Bridgerton, the wrap up to that season, and the first 3 episodes of The Boys. June is upon us. The TV shows are back, and we are here to watch them along with you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of We Watch TV, a podcast about the TV shows we watch. You can find more from Hope and Daniel on Instagram at We Watch TV Podcast. Drop us a line if you like the show, have a question, or a recommendation. You can find Hope on Twitter at Lil Runner and Daniel on Twitter at The Real Hobo Dan. Music for today's podcast was provided by Your Tunes from Pixabay. Artwork was created using the AI program Midjourney with prompts written by Daniel.